Metro 2033 is one of the best games that I've ever played, and I think that you should play it too. Despite the game being released a while back, it still holds up really well in 2023 and is still super fun. So why is that? Well, let's talk about that in this video. Metro 2033 was a first-person shooter game made by 4A Games and published by THQ in 2010. The game is actually based off of Dmitry Glukhovsky's novels, and the story is pretty much a huge nuclear fallout ends up wiping out all of Russia, and whatever parts of humanity are left need to flee the radiated surface and go into the Moscow tunnels to seek shelter. The main story, however, within the game is following Artyom, the main character. He's a silent protagonist, and you go through his journey to help eliminate the threat that's been harming his station, which are known as the Dark Ones. Now, the first two things that make this game so good are the gameplay and the story. Now, if you're just focusing on all the main objectives for Metro 2033, then it's going to clock in around 9.5 hours. But let's be honest, you want to explore and really experience everything that this game and the series has to offer. And if you do that, it's going to add an additional 9 hours. And these runtimes are actually really great. So let's say you're a casual player who just picked up a title to play. You can finish the game in 9 hours, which is pretty standard for most linear campaign games. But if you're someone looking for a deep atmosphere-rich game, then Metro not only has you covered, but gives you that option. Despite being linear, you can go into a lot of places and areas and get a bunch of loot and kind of explore, and it just adds to the level of depth in the game, making it much more fun to play. Now, the version that I played for my playthrough was the Metro 2033 Redux version. However, if you're going to be playing some of the older models, beware that there's going to be a lot of bugs and issues that you're going to have to deal with while enjoying your experience. But that doesn't really take away from the main game. I feel like the gameplay is structured well enough where you don't really get bored, and the underground metros are really fun to explore and look at. Some of my best moments in Metro were honestly just going around trying to find as much resources as possible and then using that to buy stuff in later areas. Now, the AI are okay, they're not exactly great, and I don't think anybody really remembers the Metro series for having the most perfect AI. They're sometimes on cue and other times just clanky, but one thing that always makes me super interested to play this game and always kind of captivates me is the way that they make their set pieces. Ever since I played Metro Exodus, I always have been accustomed to having a lot of land and kind of area to do what I want. But when I played the Metro series and some of the older games within that, I really realized that having smaller set pieces actually felt kind of nice. Being in a claustrophobic area or in a setting where there's a lot of enemies that can kill you at any time kind of add to the risk and really make me immersed within the gameplay itself. Another huge thing that really helps with the atmosphere in this game are the graphics. And I don't see a lot of people talking about this mainly because when you look at 2023 gaming and you compare that to what you have in Metro 2033, you're not going to be too impressed. But considering the original time it was released and how a lot of the other games looked, Metro was actually kind of ahead of its time. One important thing to remember is that a lot of the people who worked at CSG Game World who made Stalker ended up leaving it and then joining 4A Games. And because of this, some of those veteran devs ended up actually working on the graphical design of things in Metro, which is why it's so outstanding. Now, of course, I'm not saying that the graphics are anywhere near something like Metro Exodus, but they're pretty good, and they always add on to whatever the core gameplay is. Like I just described, the progression and stuff like that is pretty nice. So it not only enhances every fight that you take in the game, but it also makes you appreciate the environment. Sometimes I just like to take a break and look at the surroundings, and they look pretty nice, man, I'm not gonna lie. But I got it all out. All the amazing gameplay is something that I could go on and on about for most of the Metro games. But there's something else that makes this game so good and worth playing even despite 10 years of it being out. And that's the story. Now, the story of the video game that you're playing is just as important as the gameplay. I just told you guys about how great the gameplay in Metro is, but I'm not gonna lie, there are definitely flaws. But where there are flaws in the gameplay, the story I feel like makes up for it pretty well. Now, this video is not a retrospective, so I'm not going to go into every single detail about what happens in the story. However, I am going to give you guys a short summary, so if you have not read the book or played the game, I would recommend clicking off at this part. Let's get right into it. So basically, Artyom wakes up in his home station Riga and follows his uncle to find out about what's been going on in their tunnel system. They both realize that they are currently under attack by a bunch of mutants because the Dark Ones are taking over their guard posts and causing mass amounts of damage. Because of this, Artyom is given the role by Hunter, one of his close friends, to get a message out to a man named Miller. So he embarks on his journey meeting a lot of new people, some good and some bad. And throughout this, he has to go through many tunnel systems and the surface multiple times. But eventually, he ends up achieving his goal and finally getting to Polis. This is finally when he can get a word out to Miller and explain himself and all the things that have been going on. And Miller commends him for his bravery in getting all this information to him. They immediately begin a mission onto the surface, trying to find a bunker that apparently holds these missiles. Now, they don't know the exact condition of the bunker itself, but they find some documents regarding its location. So as soon as they finish that, they go on another expedition near the D6 bunker, where they finally find the honing missiles and go to the radio tower to finally blow up and get rid of the Dark Ones forever. It's not going to be easy because this radio tower is extremely high up in the air, and they're going to have to climb and scale it and eventually blow up all the Dark Ones. But Artyom ends up being successful and finally eliminates the threat, ending the story of Metro 2033. Now, one thing to remember when playing the Metro games is that there's usually a good ending and a bad ending. The good ending in this game is you not killing the Dark Ones, and that's if you build up enough karma points by doing good things within this game and the story. But the bad ending is actually the canon ending, meaning you're actually supposed to kill the Dark Ones to keep on moving forward with the rest of the series. By far, one of the best things about Metro 2033 is the story. I mean, it's not only captivating because it's heavily based off of the novels, but the gameplay itself really helps immerse you into what's going on. I mean, there are times I was literally worried for what was going to happen, and in the ending, I did actually kind of feel emotionally connected to the Dark Ones, because at the same time, they're not trying to harm humans, but they have to get into conflict, and they know that the cycle of violence is never going to end. But above everything else, what it really taught me was that if a game is going to succeed, it needs great mechanics and gameplay. But it also needs an amazing story. Because if Metro was just another soulless post-apocalyptic video game trying to make a quick buck and slamming a bunch of stuff into it, then nobody would really remember it nor play it because there's no point. But it's not. Despite the game being old, despite some of the features and gameplay mechanics not being up to par with what you would really expect out of a 2023 game, I would still play this game over some of the newer titles that have came out in 2023 just because it's great. It's a great game. And that's what really makes me want to tell you guys to go and play it yourselves. Because not a lot of titles can actually go past the 4 or 5 years without losing all their fan base. And I'm not saying that Metro has the same amount of concurrent players as huge titles like Fortnite or Call of Duty. But what it does have, an extremely loyal community who love the game so much. And that's what matters. So with that all being said, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I know that this is something kind of new. I don't usually make huge commentary videos and game reviews, but I really wanted to make this because, you know, the footage has been sitting on my drive for about a year now, and I wanted to kind of get rid of it, but also kind of talk about it because Metro is actually a great game. I mean, I've played every game in the series so far, and I can proudly say that there are definitely zero misses. So yeah, that's all I really have to say. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you enjoyed this style of content, leave a comment in the comment section below and I'll read it, and maybe I'll make another one just like this for the next game. So yeah, I'll see y'all later. Have a good one. Stay safe, stay positive, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.